to you guys here. Happy April 16th here. Lovely Wednesday waking up for you guys here. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful start to your day. We got a lot of severe weather to talk about. That's going to be the main topic as it's been for the last couple of days. Today starts the first day of a multi-day severe weather event. Today is going to be probably the lowest day for severe weather that we see over the next couple of days. So we're going to get you guys out the door, talk about today, talk about tomorrow, the next 4 days in advance, and kind of what the pattern's going to look like beyond that. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to be seeing in terms of our severe weather going into next week, if there is going to be any, if there's going to be, you guys know what I'm saying basically, in terms of that. So we're going to break all that down for you guys today and talk in a nutshell. I also will try and have a live stream here just on YouTube today at some point later on this afternoon. I've got to go out and run some errands after I get this video out to you guys, but there will be a live stream here on YouTube this afternoon, and there will probably be one on TikTok later on tonight. I want to try and start until we can dual simultaneously again. I want to try and start doing these updates for you guys. Now, when it comes to severe weather coverage, we'll be doing plain severe weather coverage on TikTok still until this dual platform stream thing gets resolved, until I can physically do both again. So what we've got on your screen here this morning is going to be this marginal risk zone that's going to be in place for portions of northeast Texas. We've got the panhandle of Oklahoma up into Kansas, southeast Nebraska, southern portions of Iowa here, and western portions of Kansas, or not Kansas, but of Missouri here. We've also got some cloud cover across the West Pacific here, the desert area. We've got a trough moving in that's going to set the stage for today's storms. Up in the northeast here, looking a lot more quieter. We've still got some snow banding up here in the portions of northern PA and southern portions of New York State there. But other than that, pretty quiet day. The southeast is going to be beautiful for the next couple of days. The Ohio Valley, this will probably be the best day you guys have today in terms of quiet weather before things start to pick up tomorrow and into Saturday and into Sunday and into next week. So that's what we've got for you guys here so far. I'm going to just show you guys one more area here, just the overall where the rain's falling at. Like I said, we've got some rain, some showers, some snow showers ongoing in the higher elevations up here near Syracuse. Most of that snow is probably just falling and not sticking, so just be mindful of that out there. Seeing some isolated showers up and around Salt Lake City and up towards northern portions of Montana and southern portions of the Canada line there. So we're going to break down the severe weather forecast for you guys, talk about models, kind of give you guys an update on what we're going to see today and tomorrow and with our short range models, and then we'll go long range model and kind of go from there. But as always, if you guys will, hit the button if you guys have not subscribed yet, and we'll go ahead and dive into this. Now, we'll start out with today's SPC outlook. As I mentioned here earlier, we do have a marginal risk from the Texas Panhandle up into portions of Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri here. We are looking at a less than 2% tornado risk, not 0, but between 0 and 2%. Their wind threat is at 5% and hail threat is at 5%. Like I said, hail and damaging winds are going to be the biggest threat. I don't see the tornado threat being there really, but you can never rule out an isolated tornado when you get severe weather, just something to be mindful of. Some of the areas that include this today are going to be Kansas City, Missouri, Omaha, Nebraska, Wichita, Kansas, Lincoln, Nebraska, Overland Park, Kansas, just some of the bigger cities there that we call out there on the SPC outlook. Now we get to tomorrow. Tomorrow is what we call sort of kind of a conditional day in terms of severe weather terms, I should say. We've got a lot of things working with and working against the setup for tomorrow. There will be a capping inversion in place if storms are able to overcome that lid in the atmosphere, basically a temperature inversion aloft between your dew point and your surface temps. If those storms can break through that cap, that lid in the atmosphere, and expand in height and grow in size and rotate and updraft potential increases, we'll see this materialize tomorrow. Now there is a 2% tornado risk here. We've got southern Minnesota, probably the first 2% tornado risk I've seen in Minnesota this year. So southern Minnesota, getting into most of Iowa here, northwestern portions of Missouri, including Kansas City metro area, as well as eastern portions of Kansas and eastern Nebraska. Wind threat at 5%. The hail threat is the reason why there is a hatched risk zone, and I mentioned this yesterday in the video before we got our probabilities looking at large to very large hail for tomorrow there. That hatched region basically means there we've got Kansas, Iowa, or not Kansas, we've got eastern Nebraska, Iowa, southern extreme Minnesota, and northwestern portions of Missouri. Hail can be up to 2, maybe 2.5 inches in diameter. Couldn't rule out an apple-sized hailstone somewhere in there, but outside of that hatched risk zone there in the yellow, we've got 15% 1 to 2 inch hail, 5% 1 to 2 inch hail, and there's the risk zone again, looking at that level 2 slight risk in the yellow for Nebraska. Most of all of Iowa, southern Minnesota, and northern Missouri, they're in marginal risk outside of that. Would I be shocked to see an enhanced risk for hail issued? Wouldn't be shocked. We'll see if SPC does that today or if they decide to do that tomorrow. Wouldn't be shocked if they don't issue it. Wouldn't be shocked if they do issue it. So, and that's just going to be too. We have a lot of updraft potential with these storms, and we'll get to what the models are showing with that here in just a second. But like I said, that's going to be the risk for tomorrow, and then we get to Friday. Friday, as I mentioned yesterday, the marginal risk has been added here. We've got a pretty big threat for severe weather. I wouldn't say like widespread severe weather outbreak or any of that. This is going to be scattered to maybe numerous storms. I do think by the time day 3 gets here, by the time Friday does get here, we'll have probably a level 3 enhanced risk somewhere in the middle here, maybe even back into Oklahoma. That's just kind of my thoughts and opinions on that. You guys know I like to express my feelings. We don't have anything hatched, so this is going to be a standard wind, hail, and tornado risk. Nothing significant in terms of significant hatching risk zones or any of that. So we do have a marginal risk that goes from Texas all the way up into Michigan and into portions of Ohio there. Slight risk level 2 in the yellow from Texas up into portions of the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes there. Just be mindful, have a way to get alerts on your phones. We'll be in standby for coverage mode on Friday if we need to be on. I've got a pretty busy weekend, so it's going to be hard to cover this weekend in general, but this just happens when you have family and kids and all that. Y'all understand. So we got Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Oklahoma City, and some of the areas that are in that slight risk marginal wise. We've got Dallas, Columbus, Fort Worth, Kansas City Metro, and Cleveland, Ohio there. And like I said, just kind of looking at SPC's description here, we could see that damaging wind and that hail threat outdo the tornado risk. Really just not looking at too much of a tornado risk in existence, I should say, for this on Friday. But there will be the threat for tornadoes once we get that categorical upgrade later on tonight. Now, things start to get a little bit more interesting as we get into Saturday and Sunday. We're going to see a potential trough moving in through here. Some of the models have it. Some of the models have it weaker. Some of the models have the system stronger. Saturday and Sunday are a little bit of a question mark. And you did see this expansion with the slight risk as of overnight tonight for Saturday's event. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, mostly all of Kentucky here. Southern Illinois now in play for Saturday. Southern Indiana, Southern Ohio, and back up as far as Pennsylvania and West Virginia now. So what was added last night compared to yesterday was this area right in here was added. We did not really have the Southern Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia at play quite yet. And I mentioned yesterday that there would be some shifts moving around here, and we do now have that level 2 risk out of 5 for Saturday. The biggest threat is going to be wind and hail, and we'll talk more about this as well once we get closer to this event. There will be an isolated tornado risk with this as well, but definitely going to be more of a hail and a wind threat than anything else. And then we get to the day 5 outlook, and not much has changed for Sunday. Still looking at a tornado, wind, and hail threat. I think Sunday has the biggest tornado potential just with the shear that'll be in place out of the lower levels of the atmosphere. A little bit more directional shear here to give us that non-vertical look when you get a damaging wind and a hail threat. So East Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Western Tennessee, Western Mississippi here. We'll have to watch out for you guys there. There will be a marginal and potentially maybe even an enhanced risk that gets added here. Just kind of looking at some of the wording here. There's still a little bit confidence, eager on some upgrades and just overall probabilities of where things are going to be at. But we should see the severe potential start to wane by the time Sunday and Monday gets here. And then we get into next week and we'll talk about that. So kind of look at what we're going to see today on our composite reflectivity. This is our triple HR model run, gives us an idea of where storms are going to fire off today. And today's marginals risk zone, you can see a couple storms trying to initiate. There will be a capping inversion. There'll be instability. Not a lot of instability. There will be some shear and some instability, but the capping inversion might just be too strong to initiate any of these storms. We'll definitely be on standby to watch if anything does get going, if we need to do a live stream or any of that. And then we get towards tomorrow. We'll have some rain, some showers, some ongoing convection moving through Kansas and into Missouri through tomorrow morning. And I want to transition up here to the upper Midwest really quickly so we can kind of get a better look at what you guys are going to see up here for tomorrow for that slight risk, that hatched hail event. You're going to see showers and storms moving through the Ohio Valley early to midday tomorrow afternoon. Kentucky getting some showers and some storms there, nothing severe. And then we need to watch tomorrow afternoon. There could be a shift a little bit further to the north here. We could see that severe weather risk shift a little bit further there. A couple little sig figs showing up there for some large hail. Then we get things going after sunset on Friday. And this is where I think the large hail threat is really going to start to get going. You can see these little baby supercells popping up here. Some of these could have tornado potential if the low-level jet gets going, but this looks to be more of a wind and a hail threat. It's really more hail threat than anything. And with a couple of discrete supercells firing off that could rotate, produce some tornado potential. And then by the time, we get closer to the 11 o'clock midnight hour on Friday going into Saturday morning, that does fall apart and we get into Saturday, or not for Saturday, but into Friday morning there. And we can, go from there in tomorrow's video at that point on. So that's what we've got. Like I said, I'll run over the ingredients in the atmosphere in the live stream today, kind of talk more in depth on what we're looking at with just the instability, the shear, the dew points and all that. I just want to get you guys knowing on what's going on with our setup for tomorrow and for today. Now, let's take a look here because we've got two different model discrepancies on what's going to be happening for Saturday and Sunday's event. I think Thursday and Friday are pretty set in stone in terms of GFS and European dermatistic model runs agreeing with each other. I'm going to show you guys the European model run first here. And you guys can see we're going to have two different things that are going to be ongoing here. This is our 500 millibar Jetstream here. So we're going to have a load that's going to be moving in out of the Canadian border there, moving out of Canada and coming down into Idaho and Montana. We're going to have another low down here. This is our main Jetstream that's going to move in for Thursday and Friday's event. This second piece up here will be Saturday and Sunday's event. And we will have a ridge underneath here, allowing a pretty pleasant next couple of days here for the southeast. Things should dry out and be pretty quiet down there, or stay dry out and stay pretty quiet. And then we get into the Friday and Saturday event here. We have a pretty elongated southwesterly wind field here out of the West Pacific here. This is what we call a subtropical jet stream, allowing for, moisture pool, instability, all of that to set up here. And then you get this, surface low developing up here into portions of North Dakota there. We'll have to watch that for some potential impacts on the setup for Friday. Maybe we get a surface low that increases some type of potential for tornadoes or any of that. Not too set in stone on that, but the European does have something along the lines of that. And then another low coming in here. This is a positively tilted trough, but this should turn neutral, at least according to the European. And we get into Saturday and Sunday here, and we do in fact get a negatively tilted trough, at least according to the Euro, that could play some type of factor here for significant severe weather on Sunday. But I will mention instability values have started to downtrend a little bit in terms of what Sunday's event could be, which would overall limit what would be called a high shear low cape day, just something to be mindful of when it comes to severe weather. And then we might have some severe weather into Sunday night and Monday across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, before that system moves out and things get a little bit more uncertain going into next week. And we'll start to talk more about next week in the next coming videos, but just a lot of uncertainty regarding the overall troughing features for next week. Now, I do want to show you guys as well the GFS model run. This is the 6Z from this morning. Kind of give us an idea of the same setup that we're going to see. Friday is still very much intact with the European there. Then we get towards Saturday and Sunday. And I wanted you guys to see here the difference here. We do have a surface low here up in Kansas, and a little bit of a surface low potentially developing down here along the Texas-New Mexico line. More up towards Kansas is where the main surface low is going to be at. But you see less of a intact jet stream. You see it looks very sloppy, kind of elongated here. The GFS has not done so great with this whole system setup in general. The Europeans trended a little bit better, but the Europeans becoming a little bit more progressive. So we could start to see a trend toward GFS. If that happens, Saturday and Sunday will be a lot lesser than what's forecasted. Still we'll see severe weather, but it won't be in terms of significant ceiling of what it could be of the high ceiling impacts. But regardless, though, we do start to see a negative tilt with this troughing as it enters the Ohio Valley Sunday night into Monday morning there. And then overall there, that goes off the East Coast. And then we get uncertain as things go into next week, but potentially the GFS wanting to show a major troughing late next week, and we'll get into all of that when we get closer to next week happening. I do want to go back to the Euro since it has been a little bit more progressive and a little bit more in terms of confidence boosting wise in terms of forecasting here. We'll look at our dew points here. Dew points are going to be well into the 50s and the 60s going into Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday we start to see that warm sector get pinched off just a little bit there, but Sunday's event pulling dew points as far as the mid-Ohio Valley and down here into the southeast. You can see that dry line setup, that cold front moving through with a very open warm sector here for supercell and thunderstorm convection to kind of get going, maybe even a squall line coming through. And then we get into Monday and Tuesday, that pushes off to the east there, and then we'll see things return kind of sort of to normal for a majority of next week before next weekend gets here, and we could see more of an another upper levels disturbance come in. We'll show one more thing here and we'll wrap things up with you guys. This is going to be our precip model run here. Just gives us an idea on the Euro and where we can see showers and storms at. You can see those showers and storms moving through on tonight into Thursday morning there across the Ohio, the Missouri Boot Hill area, the Ohio Valley area there. And then we get into Friday here. We'll see some showers and some storms up there with that severe weather threat into Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, possibly even some snow along the Rockies there on Thursday night into Friday morning. And then that low sets up on Friday and we get showers and scattered scattered convection from Texas all the way up here. We'll have to watch for damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, large hail, all of that, etc. on Friday. And then Saturday gets here, and Saturday is just, once again, kind of weird to me. And the reason why I say that is we've got that risk zone that's present here from like Texas through Arkansas up to Kentucky, but most of the convection's north of that. So I wonder if we're still having some model discrepancy. But nevertheless, though, we get into Saturday night into Sunday morning. Models are showing, at least the European here, a pretty decent damaging wind event maybe coming through Texas. Something we'll have to watch there before that troughing develops and we get kind of an open warm sector here. 997 millibar low Sunday evening here. So this will bring a pretty decent organized threat. I think Sunday still looks to be the best day in terms of overall like robust convection, in terms of robust setup here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that there on Sunday. And then, like I said, things get a little bit futuristic on what we could see going forward into later next week, and we'll start, like I said, to talk more about that in the next couple of videos. So guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. Be safe out there. I'm going to try and get a YouTube live stream in this afternoon. If I don't, we'll be live on TikTok tonight. It's just really hard. We're super busy today trying to get stuff ready for the Easter holiday. So other than that, y'all be safe, be weather aware, and we'll see you guys in the next one.